Thanks, guys. Look, a bit of time here. I usually spend an hour boring my audiences, but tonight just 400 seconds and go. I'm going to talk tonight about expedition we did on the Amazon 2007, 2008, from source to sea, just human power. Went from the source, you can see down the bottom, the Big Star, all the way over to the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Brazil. Quite a varied terrain that we covered as well. The source of the Amazon, lo and behold, just there. Nothing too spectacular. We drank out of it. We thought, what a fun place to start our expedition. But we had really come there to run this river in rafts. Unfortunately, we found the first month that we had to walk until this river became big enough to actually put in with these rafts. Fortunately, the trekking, as you can see, that we went through the Andes of Peru here is such a beautiful place. No one around except people in the villages, no tourists or anything like that besides us. Finally, after about a month of walking, the river did get big enough that we could put in with all our fancy sponsored gear. This boat here had been in the water once before, and so we had to test out all the gear before we could actually get on this river and start running this Amazon. The people that we met along the way for me is what really made it. I went there in the first place just for fun, for adventure. The people didn't really cross my mind, but you can see the kids, everyone in these villages were just so kind to us and looked after us, and they made this, sort of fairly shallow adventure at the start into something really amazing. We got onto the river, and at this stage, the Amazon is called the Apurimac River, which means the divine voice or the voice of God. And it's a fairly serious whitewater river, one of the most dangerous in the world, which this picture doesn't really show. Bad picture choice there. But it was very isolated. So if something goes wrong on this river, there's no helicopter. I mean, you could get on the sat phone and ask for help, but it probably wasn't coming. And for all of the team, there was myself, two others, Big Phil on the right from South Africa, and Nath from Australia on the left behind me there. We're all very experienced on whitewater, but for us it was the biggest test by far that we ever faced. Some of the rapids, even with our amazing skills, we couldn't run. In that case, we had to portage, so that means unloading the raft, carrying all the gear around, pushing the raft through, or carrying the raft around, reloading and going again. Sometimes we spent 6 hours portaging a rapid that would take 10 or 20 seconds to run. When we didn't portage, we sometimes got it wrong. And you can see there the boat's fairly firmly wrapped. It was wrapped on that rock for about 2 days, and eventually we did get it off by putting a couple of holes in it with our knives, and it just floated free. So this was only about 3 weeks in, so we're pretty happy to be able to continue our journey. But it was a very serious river, and some of the team didn't take it as well as the rest. And when I say some, I mean me. And this pic here is actually of me crying one day in the afternoon, and the boys really didn't know what to do. Three guys who think we're pretty tough, didn't know how to handle this. One of our mates crying, and the first thing I did was get out the video camera and start getting some footage. So. But after a few weeks, we're still very high in the mountains. You can see the river is at the base of those mountains. They're deep in a canyon, very hard. There's no way to get out. If you commit to a rapid, then you really are committing. You can't portage some of these. You can't scout some of these rapids even. But we did get through, and we're pretty happy about that. The river started to get bigger. It becomes more Amazon-like, if you will. You can see the village on the side here, and the mountains are very much decreased. And I was pretty happy about that, because it meant no more rapids. Unfortunately, it still meant then that we had about 6,000 kilometres to row. We converted our whitewater boat into a rowing boat. You can imagine a whitewater boat is not so hydrodynamic. It's very flat bottom. It's like driving a tank through water, basically. But we did convert it into a rowing boat, and we put a roof on as well, so we slept on there. In Iquitos, so still in Peru, Phil, who was our medic, he got really sick, and we put him on a drip, but he just wasn't getting better. The best that the hospitals in the town we're at could offer us was that he had an STD or an STI, I think you call it here. But he'd been with us for 2 months, so I'm not sure So he had to leave, but Nathan and I pushed on, and the river became so big that we could row 24 hours a day. So that was 6 hours on, 6 hours off. My shift from 12 till 6, Nath from 6 till 12, and so on. And, you know, it was tough, but you can see the views were just amazing. You know, this Amazon becomes at times 40 kilometres wide. So you don't realise that you're on a river. It feels like the ocean. But we kept going, kept pushing on, and sometimes we'd hit civilization. The big fella here on his mobile, you know, sort of gave us a fairly clear indication of that. You know, for us, we were still fairly isolated in that we couldn't finish. And now this fella, I was quite proud of this until Sarah showed her feet. My hands looked nothing. But I used to love that photo. But after 5 months of, might as well mention it, pulling, rowing, and forget it. It doesn't matter. It's not as good as Sarah's feet there. But they've healed up beautifully now. They're really nice and soft. This pic here was taken just at the put-in. Myself, Phil, Nath, brand new boat, looking just, you know, so we're up for this adventure. Let's go. You know, we're so excited to do this. Clean shaven. All the gear is so shiny and new. We don't know what's ahead of us, what's going to come. But almost 6,800 kilometres later, this is the team now. The boat got about 30 or 40 punctures. I grew a beard. Nath turned into a bit of a pirate there, but we were happy to have made it. It took 153 days, covered about 6,800 kilometres. And, you know, what started off as just purely just for the fun of it for me. You know, as I said, I wasn't thinking about anything except the adventure. It turned into something really nice because of the people. And for me now, continuing on with my expeditions, is for me personally, it's more about the people that I meet. Of course, the environment's very a big part of it as well, but for me, it's the people. And that's what I'm doing next. So thanks, guys.